Welcome to another edition of the Southern Comfort Podcast. I'm your boy Big Rich,
Kevin Harris.
and we are the boys of the Maroon Bison. Kevin, how you feeling, bro?
I'm feeling good. It's football season.
Football season,
We into it now.
as you can see, this is going to air tomorrow, but you know what I'm saying? We swagged out tonight. Falcons gonna rise up. Monday Night Football, baby. Cheers. Drink my water out of my Falcons cup.
I hope so. I hope it's a good game.
Listen, they got the talent. They got the talent.
I just still have PTSD because I remember that infamous season playing that we don't really like to talk about
So
where,
we don't talk about it. So we
but
don't talk.
I remember
Nope.
being in
Nope.
Atlanta in Dugan's, and in addition to that crazy outcome that happened in that game that we don't talk about,
We don't talk about it.
I also got maced for the first time.
So this is my
So
first time hearing this story. Oh, whoa.
yeah, there's a lot. It was a big night in the life of Kevin Harris. Very interesting. Very random.
I mean, we're
You
listening.
wanna know how I got maced?
Yeah, bro, you just don't be like, can I
So
tell you something? Nah.
so we were in Dugan's, which I miss. We were in Dugan's watching the game, and I remember I got there watching the Super Bowl, and I think I got there at like 11:30, 12 o'clock because I wanted a good seat at the bar. So I stayed there until the end of the Super Bowl in my same seat. And, so I watched basketball games the whole day. That's how I bided my time until the Super Bowl started.
Okay.
And so Super Bowl starts, we watching the game. Then at some point, I'm not going to say they got into a fight, but it was a spirited discussion that happened on the other end of the bar. So security came in to break it up. They start macing people. And so I'm sitting there and I'm just watching. I'm like, oh man, oh my goodness, they getting maced. This is crazy. Not knowing that mace apparently travels
Uh-huh.
through the air. And so, we done watched it. They done took them out. And I'm just sitting there. I go back to my wings. I'm good. And then like a few minutes later, the mace made it over to me. It's really just went around the whole bar. So gradually the whole bar starts clearing out. People are throwing up on the floor and like everything. I didn't throw up. My wife did. Our friends did. And then they cleaned everything out. But basically a whole lot of people left and did not pay their checks.
So yeah, mace on
And
your wings.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I ingested it then too.
Yeah.
I ingested mace for the first time then, I guess. But in any event, we got everything back situated and I sat back down and finished watching that debacle. And it was tough too because there was like one Patriots fan. There's always one. There's one Patriots fan. And I just remember seeing her very upset in the beginning while I was very happy. And then toward the end, she's like the only one clapping. But anyway, long story short, that night is very memorable for many reasons for me. One of them being, I can't believe we lost that game. The other one being, I also got maced for the first time.
You know, I would say Patriots fans are unbearable, but ain't nothing worse than the Eagles fan.
I think Patriots fans are way worse. I can at least get why you like the Eagles. I don't understand being a Patriots fan.
I mean, 6 rings, 7 rings, too many
Yeah,
rings.
but how many did you cheat for though?
They didn't get caught.
They
It,
did.
did it
They did. They
happen?
didn't get held accountable, but they got caught.
True point.
There's
True
a
point.
difference. They got caught now.
Speaking of holding somebody accountable,
Mm-hmm.
you sent me an article a couple days ago about Jon Ossoff and him standing firm with his fellow Democrats regarding the shutdown and didn't break ranks.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like, let's talk about it. Let's throw it up. Let's put it out there. Normally, we don't really like to dwell on Donald Trump and his doing sometimes, but this actually affects, Jon Ossoff, who is probably definitely has the most most likely chance of maybe losing his seat than any other Democrat, right? Would you say
Yeah, I think I would say,
he's in danger?
senator from Georgia, he is the most vulnerable
Vulnerable.
Democrat that we have, and it's already complicated for Democrats to retake the Senate to begin with, but there really isn't a pathway if we lose Ossoff.
So, Ossoff is in a political fight of his life right now.
Mhm.
We're talking about the federal government shutting down, health insurance premiums are on the rise.
Mhm.
They're about to spike, for over 1 million Georgians. And now he has three Republican challengers that are like circling him like sharks,
Right.
right?
And we're 2 days away from the largest grouping of federal employees that are not going to get that paycheck. They're about to miss that first paycheck of the shutdown.
Right. And so, I think we need to first start to our listeners about the shutdown and like how this all came about. Right. So what's actually happening right now is the federal government is shut down, like we said, started on
Mhm.
October 1st. We're now 13 days in, 14 days
Mhm.
in.
Mhm. Mhm.
And honestly, there's no end in sight. Right now, Trump is over in Egypt. He's trying to broker the peace deal
Mhm.
over with Israel and Gaza and Palestinians.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, folks are, losing their jobs, wanting paychecks, airports are haywire, flights are being delayed,
Mhm. Mhm.
you name it. And so now three Democrats have already crossed over. I think John Fetterman from Pennsylvania, Cortez Masto
Mhm.
from
Nevada.
Nevada,
Mhm.
and Maine, Angus, right? But Ossoff, standing with old Chuck Schumer,
Mhm.
and his Democratic caucus. So
Mhm.
why does this matter, Kevin? Like, why does all this really matter?
Well, it's very interesting. Like the politics of a shutdown are always complicated, but typically the party that carries the brunt of it is whichever party is in control, and so Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. And so they kind of have a very uphill battle to climb in terms of putting this on the Democrats. And so Ossoff had an interesting choice to make, given that he is a battleground state senator, which is, do I stick with Democrats and hold firm to why it is we aren't going to vote with Republicans to reopen the government, or do I kind of cross over like Fetterman and all of them did, like you said? And so what Ossoff has decided to do is to really hold firm with Democrats, even though he's in a battleground state, and say that until Republicans give us some sort of an agreement or some sort of pathway for us to work separately on legislation that's going to stop these healthcare premiums from going up, we aren't going to open the government. And what's interesting is that you have Marjorie Taylor Greene, right there in Georgia as well, and she's basically saying the same thing, even though she's on the complete opposite end of the political spectrum, saying like, "Hey, this healthcare stuff is crazy. We need to work on addressing that." And reopen the government. So her position now is essentially the same as Jon Ossoff. um, and this is the longest shutdown we've ever had in history. Happened during Donald Trump's first term in office. I remember being on the Hill working at that time, and I still think we probably have another week or so at least to go on this shutdown. But it's significant because it depends. Where are the voters going to fall on who they hold accountable and responsible for this? And Jon Ossoff has made the determination that ultimately he thinks voters are going to hold Republicans accountable for this, and that it's more in his interest to stand up and fight for health care. And I think he's right about that.
Well, it's interesting because it's a game of chicken, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
Ossoff is driving the bus for Georgia Democrats.
Mhm.
We're focused on Ossoff right now because one, he is vulnerable, but two, he's a Georgia, and this is the Southern Comfort podcast,
Mhm.
and so Republicans are loving this, right? They're getting the field day with this. They're calling him Shutdown John.
Mhm.
They're saying
Mhm.
he cares more about illegal immigrants
Mhm.
than American
Mhm.
troops.
Mhm.
So one
Mhm.
of his opponents, Buddy Carter, has bought a seven-figure buy, like already.
Mhm.
Basically, the message is simple: John Ossoff shut down the government 7 times,
Mhm.
and now service members won't be able to get their check.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
just imagine, right? That is the message going on media buys. Again, Mike Collins is hitting him, sending people to Ossoff's office with cameras. Derek Dooley, the son of Coach Dooley from UGA,
Mhm. Mhm.
who himself was a coach for the University of Tennessee, right?
Mhm.
And we have many Tennessee Vol fans and alumni who live in Georgia.
Mhm.
He's getting attacked 3 ways, all about the same
Mhm.
point,
Mhm.
same
Mhm.
thing. They're
Mhm.
trying to define Ossoff as the villain here, the guy
Mhm.
who was responsible for the shutdown.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I just wonder, in his counterattack, is he just going to sit there and take the punches like Democrats normally do? Or is he going to start hitting back?
Yeah. Well, I think he should hit back. I think he should go all in on this and do everything he can to really crisscross the state and get into as many media markets as possible, highlighting the impacts of this shutdown, right? The fact that on the 15th, the majority of federal workers are not going to get their paycheck. That's a wonderful day to be at the CDC and talk about those workers and how it's impacting Georgia's economy. There's all kinds of rural counties that benefit from healthcare funding that is at risk during this shutdown, where he can be there. They're already distressed, losing hospitals and things like that because of the big ugly bill and everything else. Right, there's an opportunity there, and then there's also an opportunity with the veterans, right, to do some offense where he can go out there and say, "Hey, I'm a Democrat, so Donald Trump won't meet with me."
Right,
But if I were a Republican and I were in the majority party and Donald Trump was president and I knew he would meet with me, I would go meet with him and say, you know what? While we sort out the rest of this stuff, we should pay our veterans. We should
right,
pay our troops.
right,
And any Republican right now that is criticizing me but hasn't called for that to happen doesn't care about Georgia, right? Doesn't care about the most impacted people when it comes to this shutdown. And so I think it is an opportunity to make some inroads here, but he absolutely should double down and go on offense. And Democrats across the board should do the same thing. Like, this is the first thing Democrats have gotten traction on. Um, it's certainly since Donald Trump has become president again.
and I do like some of the tactics they're using, right?
Mhm.
Republicans haven't been at the Capitol these last 3 weeks, and they're highlighting that. You had a couple of members walking around talking about, where are the Republicans? Hey, have you seen any Republicans? Like, where are they? Ossoff is playing into that game. One thing
Mhm.
he did do, which was, smart politics, is he gave up his own paycheck during the
Yes.
shutdown, right?
Yes.
One of his
Yes.
opponents turned around and did the same thing, but
Yep.
still, followed the leader, and he was a leader here and did that, right? He's leaned in with Marjorie Taylor Greene, of course. Anytime that you're siding with Marjorie Taylor Greene on something, it's a strange place,
Mhm.
right? Politics has
Mhm.
has strange bedfellows, right?
Mhm. Mhm. Definitely it does, but I think it shows the appeal here, and I think it shows what the opportunity is for someone like a Jon Ossoff to be successful in a state like Georgia, right? The old way people used to try to win races in Georgia is you just turn out as many Democrats as possible in Metro Atlanta, right? And then the rest of the state is just like, whatever, right? But the way you win in Georgia and in another southern state, well, that's a battleground like North Carolina, is you basically just got to turn out the Democrats and the persuadable voters wherever they are, not just the metro areas. And the fact that you have someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene now saying the same thing as Democrats, that shows you the resonance that this has outside of metro Atlanta and traditional Democrats. And so the opportunity there in having her voice added to this is it gives you what an Achilles heel is. You know exactly where to go. Go into those communities and really turn the screws here. And, you know, the videos that they're doing, walking around the Capitol. Look, I like it because it's something, right? And you got all the Democrats at least saying the same thing, which is typically very difficult for us to do as a party. But I'm a big proponent of getting into those local markets and keeping the focus on people and the people that are being impacted. That's what you use your platform to do. Because even the thing with, you know, I almost called him Speaker Jeffries, hopefully, but Leader Jeffries and Mike Lawler, right? When they were, he had that face to face, I really wasn't a fan of that. And the
No.
reason I'm not a fan of it is because you made the conversation about you and you getting into it with this other congressman. Who gives a crap? You got people that are about to lose their checks. I got friends of mine who are veterans that are talking to other people in the veteran community where they're gonna these are veterans. They're
Uh-huh.
currently going to work who are about to go to food pantries. Nobody cares about you in your nice suit at your job fighting with this other fool. Who cares? Take that platform, go out into these communities and show people what's happening because of this Republican shutdown and who's getting hurt. So I want to keep the message and the impact there. And so in Ossoff, Roy Cooper in North Carolina, that's what I would encourage them to do. Go do, the 15th, like go find workers, right? And go do a round table in your district and let them tell their stories. Use your platform that way. Keep it about the people, not about us.
You know, and it's interesting, like right before the shutdown happened, fundraising numbers were released.
Yeah.
You know, Ossoff raised 12 million and reported he got 21 mil in the bank, baby. Right. And
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
what kind of message does that send? Particularly, you know, you have over 200,000 donors. Each donor is giving $36. Like that's great grassroots support.
Mm-hmm.
But that money does not mean anything, or it doesn't solve your messaging problem if the shutdown is blamed on you and voters think is blamed on you,
Correct.
right? You would have raised all that cash just to afford ads explaining why you lost, you know?
Yeah. Or why the shutdown isn't your fault. So I think that's right. I think that's all the more important for it to keep the keep on offense and keep the focus right on people remember that, right? It's like you heard me say before, with a lot of messaging I always go with what I call the Maya Angelou rule, right? Which is what people will forget what you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. They'll remember that this was the guy in these communities actually highlighting and advocating and fighting and showing for us. So I like that he gave his paycheck back. He absolutely should. But what he should have did was taken his butt to a food bank or somewhere, donated the equivalent of his check, and actually gave out
Food.
extra products that
Yeah.
was purchased with his paycheck, so people are seeing the exact, so it's not like this tangible not so it's not this theoretical thing. Oh, I gave my money back. No, go out there, make it real, make it plain,
So
show
you,
people.
so what you're saying is you want him to use tax dollars to pay for food to give it back to the people.
No, I want him to actually
Use
be,
his
I think,
check.
deep, yes, be more clear and more pointed, right, about the impact that this is having on people. Yes, I gave my check back, I donated it back, or you could also say I took my check and I donated it to this food pantry that veterans who are currently working and serving this country have to go to feed their families. Because while these guys are defending our country and defending our families, they have to worry about if they can feed their own. Does that seem fair?
Right.
So I came to this food pantry and I brought my check and I donated it here so that we can give out more in this community. Make it that pointed and that plain.
To a food bank that's probably already lost funding from Republicans as well, right?
Most certainly has, while at the same time, the need has increased, and so we have an opportunity here, and that's why I want to get outside the Capitol. I'll walk around and showing the videos, and look, I like that because at least y'all are all on the same message. But get outside that Capitol and go out there and touch people. Go be with people and highlight exactly what is happening and make sure they understand whose fault it is.
So it seems like he's trying to run the same playbook he used in 2021. Lean into the base, frame Republican policies as threats to Georgians, wallets and health.
Hmm.
Is that going to work in 2026?
I believe that it will. Yes, I think that it will. Um, you know, we know that just from political science, right? Like typically the party that's in power that first midterm, right? They tend to lose ground. So I think that the headwinds are certainly there. And I also think we haven't seen the full ramifications yet of the tariffs, of this shutdown, what that's going to ultimately mean. There's nothing on the Republican side, right, that's happening economically that any economist will tell you is about growth, right? Tax cuts for rich people don't grow the economy. Tariffs don't grow the economy. Shutting down the government does not grow the economy. Taking away the lifelines of working class people in the middle class, right? Things like even something like SNAP benefits, which is for low income Americans, they take that and they spend that in local businesses, right? So cutting, restricting all of those things like that stuff doesn't grow the economy, it reduces economic growth. And so a lot of the stuff that we're talking about hasn't even taken effect yet. And as we continue to get closer and closer to 2026, more of that is going to be felt. And I think we already have slow economic growth. And part of the reason why it's not as bad as it could be at this point is because I think people are actually starting to see how resilient the economy actually is, in large part because of Joe Biden. People hadn't fully felt everything that he did yet, and they went out and voted on that, right, in 2024. But part of the reason we aren't worse off now is because of what he did. And so once this Trump stuff starts really taking effect and really impacting the economy, you know, I do believe Ossoff will be positioned well. I think Democrats will be positioned well to make exactly that contrast that you described, and it just really needs to be that simple and that plain, you know.
So let's zoom out for a minute and talk about why like political pundits and nerds across the country are kind of starting to obsess about this race.
Mhm.
Right? We said it earlier. Jon Ossoff is literally the most vulnerable Democrat up for reelection in 2026.
Mhm.
He's the only Democrat running in the state that Trump won in 2024.
Mhm.
And Georgia just isn't any regular state, right? Like it's the crown jewel of Southern politics. Would you say that?
Mhm.
Right?
Um,
So, well, it's the crown jewel in Southern Democrat organizing.
I will. I think North Carolina might beef with that a little bit.
How many
But
Democrat
yeah,
senators does North Carolina have?
how many Democrat governors does Georgia have? Or attorney generals?
Fair point.
Mhm. Mhm.
Uh, who got the top rated HBCU?
Well, now, yeah, there you go.
Here we go. No, no, but no,
Well,
no.
there you go. Yeah. Mhm.
Right? Let's talk about it. It's where we can talk about what Stacey Abrams built. We can talk
Mhm.
about the longstanding civil rights history. Um, we can talk about Raphael Warnock.
Mhm.
It's where black voters lie. It's suburban women, young people. Coming together to help change the map. Right.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, um, if Republicans take back Ossoff's seat, it doesn't just change the Senate math. It sends a message that that Georgia model just didn't work anymore, right?
Yeah.
Um,
That it was a
that
fluke.
there was a fluke. That all
Mhm.
that organizing, really, people are going to say, from 2018. But I'm gonna take it a step back further from when I was on the ground.
Mhm.
and it can tell you firsthand, it started in 2012 with Obama,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm. Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
Obama won, and that sparked that hope about, well, we can kind of organize here, and one day we'll get there, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so, I definitely was a part of that infrastructure, and
Mhm.
so it will just let you know that that coalition building that has been going on since then was just a one time thing.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then what does that mean for someone like a Raphael Warnock, right? This is
Mhm.
bigger than one Senate seat. Uh, we're talking about whether Southern Democrats can hold power in purple states. And
That's
so,
right.
you know, you got Warnock, you got Roy Cooper, but also it affects stuff that happens downstream, right?
That's
Like
right.
Warnock needs to hold and show his power at top, but we had Ebenezer on the show, a couple episodes back, a few episodes back, and he
Mhm.
talked about we're targeting 11 House seats, right?
Mhm.
All they need is 11 House seats to
Have a majority.
have a majority, right?
Yeah.
To shift that what's going on in the House, right? It
Mhm.
says something about the county commission. It says something about people going up and down the ticket about the strength of the person at the top,
Mhm.
and
Mhm. Mhm.
uh, you know that's how this whole thing is driving the national media to kind of focus and hone in on this race. So he's raising the money. He's raised,
Mhm.
I mean, $23 million is no small feat,
Mm-mm. For a
right?
Southern Senate race, incredible.
Incredible, incredible.
Mhm. Mhm.
Now it's time for him to set the narrative. If you're a Senate candidate who raised all this money and lost, it's going to drag everything else down.
It does, and I would make a couple points about that, right? Like everything you just said is so right, right? Like, and that's the difference between why I think North Carolina is a little bit ahead of Georgia. Is North Carolina has done a better job of creating some coattails on their statewide victories, right? Like it's not just the gubernatorial races that they're winning; they win the attorney general's race too. Like their legislature is close. They have more ripple effects, and in Georgia we've been able to break through with two senators, but we've not had the ripple effects, right, that we should have, right? We haven't flipped the governor's seat. We haven't won labor commissioner, secretary of state, all of those places. All of those things still are staying Republican hands. And so we do have to think about this holistically, right? And if we lose Ossoff, right, like that puts in jeopardy this notion, right, that Georgia is a real battleground state, right? And we don't want that. We want Georgia and the South to remain battleground states, and that has ramifications for the national party too, because we always hear about, right, like the blue wall in presidential elections. We can't keep putting all our eggs in that basket, right? We need to create as many pathways as possible to the presidency, and that needs to include the South. And Ossoff winning this race has a lot to do with that as well. And then also the point that you made about down ballot races is so important too, because we don't often get that as a party, and we often don't get that um, in the South. And so one race here that I just did in Mobile, Alabama, we were trying to elect Barbara Drummond to be the first Black woman to be mayor of Mobile, Alabama. But not only that, she would have flipped that seat from Republican to Democrat, right? And here's the thing: Mobile was a area where she was running. Kamala Harris won that by like 8 points, and we fell about a couple of points short of winning that race, in part because it was difficult to get Democrats
Right,
to invest in the race
right,
and to believe in the race. Like if she wins, this is your next congressperson, right? This is what makes Alabama now a part of the narrative of a resurgent Democratic party, so that you can then go back and try to flip the House and all these other things. But we oftentimes don't get it. And so that big picture that you just laid out is incredibly important. And it just really gets back to us having to think about and really just get back to organizing,
right,
right?
right,
Organizing on the ground, and organizing on the ground means building these pipelines, right? It's not just winning the big race and then let's just check out for 4 years. Like you got to be focused and invested in the pipeline. And that also needs to happen with John. Like you just said, he raised $23 million. There's going to be a lot of energy coming into the state based on that. Don't just let it go, and don't just let it kind of fall through your hands, right? Like focus on winning his race and the down ballot race. You got a PSC race, Public Service Commissioner race right now in Georgia. I promise
Right.
you, nobody's paying attention to it.
Nobody. I can tell you. I can
Nobody's
tell you
paying
right now.
attention to it, and we're probably gonna lose that race because nobody's paying attention to it.
I met one of the candidates the other day, and he was walking into uh, this organization I was doing some work for a couple
Mm-hmm.
of days ago, actually,
Mm-hmm.
and he just seemed so aloof, and I was just like, I should have ran for that, you know?
Sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not?
Why not?
But you know, and I guess people nationally think that Georgia is this blue state. Just because we have 2 state senators does not mean it's a blue state, right?
Mm-mm,
Think
mm-mm.
about it. Biden only won by 12,000 votes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Remember
Mm-hmm.
Trump on that infamous call, "Find me 11,000 votes. It's only 11,000, right? That's not a. I can do a better Trump impersonation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, Ossoff and Warnock both won their runoffs by like nice tight margin.
Yeah,
And so, you know, what we're faced here, Trump winning in 2024, you know, so this idea that Georgia's solid blue is just wrong. It is a battleground state,
it is.
and it's going to be a battleground state for a long time until, like you said, like that organizing, right? Just because we did it a couple cycles don't mean you let up. You
No.
know, we wrote an article the other day about year-round investing in like voter registration programs, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is
Mm-hmm.
also it's the same for your organizing program.
Mm-hmm.
That is a year-round, got to keep them engaged because the other thing is like you notice the huge voter drop-off when it comes to midterm elections, when it comes to local races, right?
That's
We're
right.
we're working on some local races right now in Atlanta, and we can already tell you that voter turnout is going to be abysmal.
Oh, 12%.
and
Low.
and and you're right again in the home of the civil rights movement
Mm-hmm.
where we stress voting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is something I think that we really need to talk about in another episode is the black political class
Mm-hmm.
dying out, or has
Mm-hmm.
it already died out? You know, the mayor of New Orleans is now a Latino woman.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We did the black community do themselves a disservice by not partnering up with other, you know, minority communities and creating a stronghold?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you know, I want to put a pin there.
Yeah, well, yeah, and we should talk about that because that's only a Southern thing, right? Like in California and places like that, the black community does organize with the Latino community to win
Right,
elections. The black community in the South, we don't. We in our corners,
right.
so to speak. Yeah.
And but you know, back to the infrastructure and
Mm-hmm.
year-round organizing, it
Mm-hmm.
needs to be a thing, right? Especially when you have college students who are coming out and don't know what to do or don't have anything to do. We
Mm-hmm.
always say this, right? Like a campaign is the perfect place to work, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It is a quick, fast startup. You're gonna learn so many things. You're gonna learn so many tools. You're gonna
Mm-hmm.
realize it's transferable to whatever career you decide that you want to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's like the perfect training ground, right?
It is. Yeah.
And so, you know, we can continue to harp on it. I think who knows how this shutdown is going to end, but I guess the strategy here for what Ossoff is trying to think is it going to pay off? You know, is it you holding your ground, standing firm, standing strong, while you know voters are seeing what's happening to their loved ones and their friends, you know, at the end of the day on November of next year,
Yeah.
is it going to pay off, right? It's very risky, very risky.
Very risky, but I think two things. One is I think as long as we keep the focus on people,
Yeah,
and we
yeah,
use every platform that we have, every way that we have to keep a focus on people, then I think that we will do that, right? Instead of walking the halls of Congress, um, read a letter, right, from one of your constituents talking about this and call them and record that. Let people see you talking to this person and reaching out to them, and trying to help them get connected to services. But as long as we keep the focus on people, then I do think that it will be okay. And the other thing, only other quick thing I want to say too is you were talking about like that year-round engagement, right? You're absolutely right. Right now, if I were in charge of the party, of any state party, what I would be doing is um, I would be running a program and an apparatus where if there were people letting people know if you need help, if you are suffering as a result of this shutdown and you need help and direction on where to go, we're going to connect you with services. We can help show you where to go. We can help connect you with the people that are providing these services. And think about that, right? Right. Think about what that looks like. If you can map out where people can go for services, you can map out early vote
Yeah,
locations.
I like what you're putting down.
You see what I mean?
Yeah,
This is good for the infrastructure of the party, but it also shows people, it shows the party showing up not just at election time. Right? This is the kind of organizing that we need to be doing in communities, right? People will remember who showed up to help them.
they absolutely will. Let me ask you this: 2 points.
Mhm.
What not 2
Mhm.
points? So, one, do you think that there'll be Republicans that break rank before a Democrat does?
I think we've already seen it. Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think absolutely we will.
Well, to swing it in favor of the, because this is about ACA subsidies, right?
Mhm.
This is exactly what this fight is about, right?
Mhm. But
Which
the
is
vets ain't started not getting paid yet. Like it bills.
right.
It bills.
So my
Mhm.
second point, specific to Georgia, and
Mhm.
will we see this pattern start happening elsewhere with the likes of one Jeff Duncan,
Yep.
right? And what effect could he or can he or will he have on this situation?
Um I think it's an opportunity for him because when as he's running, so many people are going to want to make the race about his past, and we should remind people who Jeff Duncan.
Oh
Jeff
yeah, I was
Duncan
just
is
about to say yeah,
yeah. Jeff Duncan is a candidate for Georgia governor right now. He was a former lieutenant governor of Georgia, Republican lieutenant governor, broke ranks with Trump, called out the bull, and now is running as a Democrat in the Democratic primary. And I think that this is an opportunity for him as it is for everybody, but it's an opportunity for him because um, people are going to want to make the race about so much of his past. This is an opportunity for him to show up right now and show that it's not about my past. It's about what I believe in now, what my ideas are now, and how I show up and lead right now. So, yes, he should be all over this. But really, all the Democrats should, but he definitely should be all over this.
we'll see.
Yeah.
I will say
And he has certain credibility with certain communities where Democrats often start off as a deficit because of his background, right?
yeah,
You
right.
know, he can show up with veterans and he has a certain level of credibility with them because he was the former Republican lieutenant governor. He can show up in rural communities because he was the former Republican lieutenant governor. A lot of folks in those communities where Democrats sometimes struggled are just inclined to believe him because of what his background was, right? And so, absolutely, he should be 1,000% on offense.
Um, boy, that sun sure shed on your ass because
I know. I don't know if I should turn the light on or if we should break the third wall and just ask Stu or
oh
what.
my,
I don't know. But let me just.
I know, well, that didn't do shit.
It
It made
didn't?
it made you darkness, everyone.
Oh, my Lord. Okay. Well, let me turn it back off.
Darkness. No.
When people watch on YouTube, you'll be able to see what we're talking about. But
Speaking of, why y'all not watching on YouTube more? Why y'all not telling your friends to subscribe and hop on the bandwagon? We done passed 100,000 views. I'm speaking to the people, Kevin. I'm speaking to the
I was
people.
about to say, but they are watching on YouTube. We got 100,000 views. They don't like, they really, people busy. They like to watch the shorts. They watch the short clips and then they go on about their day. But you have a more dedicated audience that watches like the whole things. And I've noticed too, most of the people that watch the whole things, they are older.
Yes. No, well, no, I got some buddies like Ed was like, yeah, man, I heard you said this the other day. I was like, but I'm only on episode 15. I was like, bro, you got a lot of catching up to do.
I love
So
that. I
they
love
get
it.
they get to it. They get around to it. Yeah, man. So just to recap, uh, like Whoopi Goldberg say, Ossoff, you in danger, girl. um, I mean, he's in danger. He's in danger.
But he was in danger regardless. He's a Democrat with a Senate seat in the South, right? So you just gotta lean into it and you just gotta run. And we got a lot of opportunities here to really break through. And we gotta seize it. We gotta seize our opportunities. But you gotta take some shots though. Like you can't be hey, that's why I don't like all this walking around the Capitol shooting videos mess. Get out
Yeah.
there. You act like you're afraid of the people you represent. Get out there and be in community with them and fight.
So, he's betting on that same strategy of 2021, stand
Mhm.
on principle, focus on healthcare and kitchen table issues,
That's right.
and trust that voters will reward you for fighting for them.
They
But
will.
they will, but you have to take it up a notch and actually meet them where they are.
Mhm.
Physically go out and talk to them. And he
Mhm.
and he does that. I'm not saying he doesn't do
Mhm.
that,
Mhm.
right? Um, Meanwhile, Republicans are unified in wanting to take him down, even if they are divided on who should be the one to do it. But nationally, everybody's gonna watch the South as they always do, as they are watching it tonight with the Falcons versus the Bills.
Mhm.
Rise up, this are we doing a Mamba moment? Cause
Fading.
you say Charlie Murphy. Yo,
um
when you said the Maya Angelou quote, when anybody mentions her, I always want to try to do her voice. Let's get your
her.
black behind off of here. You got this black shirt on, you
I
know.
know. I
You black,
know.
y'all. You black. You-
Turn the light on. That was Stu, yo. Let me
That's our
see
buddy.
here.
Y'all need to know. Oh, we can. Oh,
Oh,
so
only
so now
we
you
can hear Stu. Okay, so anyway,
now you got us looking foolish, like we talking to ourselves, too.
I know. Stu,
Uh,
well, let me tell you something.
is that you?
So where I grew up, it's all right to talk to yourself as long as you don't answer. When you start answering, that's when you're crazy. But you can talking to yourself is that's natural.
Okay.
Because if you can't talk to yourself, how you gonna talk to anybody else, Richard?
Listen, I'm not gonna argue there. That's that's tune in next week for a little Birmingham behavior.
Little Birmingham wisdom there, okay? There you go.
But listen, as always, bottom line, if you care about Democratic power in the South, this is the race that you need to watch, and you probably need to
Yes.
get involved,
Yes.
and you need to holler at us if you want to do that.
Mhm.
But we're gonna close it out strong. Kev, appreciate you, my boy. Safe
Appreciate
travels.
you,
You about
man.
to you about to you about to take a flight, right?
I'm going to London.
Yeah,
I am for my first time in London. I'm excited.
yeah. It should be good.
Yeah, it's going to be incredible. So looking forward to that, and we'll be back together in person here soon. Close out the year.
Holla.
Peace.
Rise up.